The Culture Pop Podcast is brought to you by the law offices of Jacob Emrani.
Accident or injury, call Jacob Emrani. Call Jacob.
Hey, it's Mace. If you or a friend or loved one is injured in an accident, the first person you should call is my friend Jacob. When I did this, Jacob was great. He helped me by talking through the next steps, which really put my mind at ease. When you're injured in an accident, you got to have an expert. That's why you call Jacob, just like I did. Call Jacob, 844-24-JACOB. That's 844-24-JACOB, or visit calljacob.com.
Call Jacob.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Culture Pop Podcast. I'm Steve Mason, along with Sue Ballou, Sue Kalinsky. Good morning, Sue. How are you?
I'm very well, Stephen. Stephen Mason.
Stephen Mason. So we got to go to the Mandy Awards, which was a spectacular event. Sue, what was your the Mandy Awards, by the way, if you're listening from not Los Angeles, it's an award show for 710 ESPN, my radio station in Los Angeles, where we give awards to ourselves. That's what it's come to. We're giving awards to ourselves. Sue, what did you think of the show?
Well, you know, I went last year to the first one.
Yep.
And you guys really stepped it up.
You think so?
Totally. One thing I have to say,
yep.
Jorge is your producer, is amazing.
He is.
He really is. And it is probably the most professional, silliest award show I've ever been to.
And by the way, there are a lot of silly award shows, as you know.
I know.
During awards season. And Jorge Briones, who's our producer on Mason and Ireland, is also the executive producer of the show. So he's putting together clips and all this stuff. I thought it really turned out great.
Yeah, and I love his side comments from the back of the room.
Yes. He's spitballing from the back of the room. What did you think of my suit?
Your suit was, I thought it was weird. But you know what? It was weird, but it just worked with the night because a lot of people wore some very, very crazy ass suits.
There was weird stuff. Now you look beautiful. You were dressed up for it.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
I got to thank you from the stage,
which I really appreciated. And then after the show, some guy came over to the table and said, "Are you Sue Kalinsky from the podcast with Steve?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he asked to take a picture of me.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
cute. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So I wanted to bring up something that's been bugging me all weekend long. I got an email from one of the bosses about the award show we were doing and congratulating us and all this stuff. And he used the word irregardless. Irregardless. Now, Sue, that is not even a word.
It's not, because we all know it's irregardless.
No.
What do you mean?
It's just regardless.
Okay.
There's no such thing as irregardless.
Oh, there isn't?
No. Think about it in a sentence.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah, it's kind of redundant. It would be redundant.
Yeah. Did you ever use that word?
Irregardless?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a terrible word. It's not even a word.
So, how badly did you want to correct him?
Oh, so bad. And by the way, you know how you have that? There's like 50 people on the email. And you could reply to all if you wanted to, and irregardless is not a word, but I let it slide because it was the big boss. But irregardless, this is a good piece of advice for everybody out there, especially kids. If you're writing your term paper, irregardless, not a word.
It's funny that you bring this up because Kathy Ladman, our good friend Kathy Ladman, who's a comedian, she was an English teacher prior to doing.
I didn't know that.
And there are times when I have text her something or someone will write a post on Facebook and she will immediately correct your grammar or your spelling.
Wow.
Yes.
And I'm glad she's not on mine.
I just laugh about it because, she just can't help herself.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. We don't, I write out the word dunno. D-U-N-N-O. Dunno. I don't know if someone's coming I'm sure she would be upset about me using the word DUNNO. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if she would be upset with something like that because it's, it's slangish,
Yeah, right. That's true.
But just, misspelling a word or having improper grammar is something that she does not take lightly.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, Facebook known for good grammar.
Yeah, right.
People write with good grammar
Right.
on Facebook. That's what it's known for. So you and I both love our dogs. You've got Tucker, who is now how old?
16 and change.
And I've got Sophie, who's 17. And I've got Ron, who's 1. And, we'll do anything for our pets, right? To just absolutely anything, because both of us are child free. By the way, I like child free better than childless. I think childless sounds like you're missing something, and we decided to be child free, so we're child free. So anyway, all of the child free pet owners are really embarrassing us. Now I'm going to put something out there. Pet clothing, okay? People who put clothes on their pet. In 2021, how much do you think the United States sales was for pet clothing in dollars? How much do we spend for pet clothes?
I would say millions.
$5.2 billion.
Billion? Now, is that's
billion.
That's just in the United States, or
just
that's worldwide?
Just in the United States, yeah. So 5.2 billion is a gigantic number. That means, now I would never dress my pets. Have you ever dressed your pets?
Never. Oh, the only thing I ever put on my dogs was a bow tie.
Oh, but well, I mean, that's
it was a birthday party for Tom.
I get that. Sure, you want to be formal.
Wanted Tucker to be a little fancy.
Be a little fancy. But 5.2, I don't know anybody who dresses up their pets. Maybe it's because it's warm here and they don't need coats and jackets and stuff.
But it's not even coats and jackets. Sometimes, it's a hat with sunglasses. Like I've seen dogs like that at Venice Beach or in Santa Monica.
Sure.
But I see dogs more often these days. I've seen dogs with little boots or like little
boots,
like little sneakers, like high tops.
What do dogs need sneakers for?
Well, when we lived in New York and I had Sam had never been in snow.
Okay.
So they would put salt.
Salt
on the streets. Because it was icy. So the salt would get into the dog's pads. So I bought Sam little booties because of that.
Okay.
But it wasn't a fashion statement.
Right.
But I see people who dress their dogs just like in a shirt.
Yeah. See, I don't think dogs like it.
Oh, I don't think they do. It's kind of like, Robert Klein had that funny joke years ago about elephants, being dressed up, and people were saying, no, it was bears. It was like at a circus or something.
Right.
And they were like, oh, the bear loves it. And I said, no, the bear hates it. The bear, it's just so constraining.
Yeah. So a lot of money on dog clothes. I don't mean to offend any of you dog clothing people. If you're out there, but stupid.
Okay.
Stupid.
So the humanization of a dog. Okay.
Yes.
So there are people that have those baby Bjorns. Is that what they're called? That wrap around,
yeah, sure.
Right?
Sure.
And I've seen people with their dog in that.
That's ridiculous.
And then dogs in strollers.
Oh, that's stupid.
Like when I see someone in my neighborhood walking their dog with a stroller, if the dog is not impaired in any way.
Yeah.
It's like, I just wish that I wish I knew what the dog was thinking, because he sees all the other dogs just walking,
Right.
And it's like, stop embarrassing me. I can walk.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
The whole thing. The idea of taking a dog for a walk is for their exercise, for their pleasure, for their enjoyment. It's not to put them in a bassinet and roll them around the neighborhood.
Bassinet.
Is that what it's called?
Well, yeah, it's kind of old fashioned, but it's something that you would, like the Little Rascals would have done.
Yeah, crazy.
They put a dog and they'd make it look like an old man. They have a dog with a cigar and a little derby, like a bonnet, Well,
that's your era. That's from your childhood, right?
Well, yeah, it's from my era because I'm 90.
All right. So, oh, little rascals. Oh, those old days. All right. Our guest today is a stand-up comic. He's an actor. He's a director, probably best known as Raven Symone's dad on That's So Raven. He's done over 200 half-hour television shows, and he's an LA Clippers fan to boot. Rondell Sheridan joins us. Rondell, thanks a lot for doing this, man.
I had no choice. You have naked pictures of me, and I was told by my lawyers, I was advised by my lawyers that I have to do this. So there we go.
Sue has the pictures, by the way.
Yeah, she probably does. It's circulated everywhere.
Yes, and I couldn't think of a more opportune time to unveil them.
I tried my hardest to get them out of the trash and repost them, but apparently people shredded them.
So, Rondell, I am always curious. I emailed with you a little bit last night when I
dress to the left, if that's what you're asking.
Yes. So when I run into an LA Clippers fan, the story of how that happened to you, how do you become an LA Clippers fan? I've been in LA 30 years. I'm a Lakers fan. You're from the Midwest, I think, originally. What made you adopt the Clippers?
So you've been in LA for 30 years. I've been in LA for 33 years, something like that. So what happened was I thought I was a huge NBA fan. And I got to LA and I knew nothing about the Clippers. And I don't know how that's possible. I think it's because I lived in New York for 10 years and the games were on really late and they didn't televise much Clippers game. I think I knew one player and I'm trying to remember what the player I knew that was on the Clippers, but I had literally I'd go, is this like a made up team? I had no clue. We played in the sports arena, would look like it was amateur hour.
It was a dump, man.
Yeah. But my manager at the time, Rick Siegel, had got me as a birthday present tickets to season tickets for the Clippers. Got a ticket for him and a ticket for me. And we were 10 rows behind the visitors bench. And that was cool because we got to see every single team. I was just starting photography. So I'd bring my camera. I'd shoot as many players as I could. And it was kind of like when your uncoordinated child gets a hit at T-ball. When we would win a game, it would be like, ooh, we won. Clippers won a game. But we were the punishment team. If you got caught with cocaine or did something illegal, you got sent to the Clippers. They're like, okay, you're good. We're not going to kick you out of the league, but we're gonna punish you for a while.
You know, it's so weird that you say this because last night I was thinking, what other Clipper fans do I know? And the only name that came to mind was my former manager, Rick Siegel. So you and Rick were going to the games together, huh?
I think he's just recruiting. He's the Svengali of Clipper fans. He has a deal. He goes, slowly, I'm going to implant people to be Clipper fans.
Well, so because they were basically the bastard team in LA.
Oh, no, they are.
They still are. But back then,
last 10 years, we have spanked the Lakers by 20%. They've won 20. We've won 80% of the game.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm saying is that back then, so what were the ticket prices? Were they considerably less than a Laker game?
So I asked Rick why he got the season tickets to the Clippers. And he said, if he had gotten the Lakers, he would have got like a 20 game pack. And for the Clippers, he got a full season tickets. Plus, keep in mind, we were 20 rows behind the visitors bench.
Yes.
Couldn't got that. And then I have another friend of mine who, I don't know, 10 years ago he's got a name, a star, and went to the Lakers to get a deal and for tickets. And they gave him something really crappy. And he goes, I could just pick up the phone to the Clippers. And this was 10 years ago. He goes, I could just pick up the phone for the Clippers and got a much better package deal. You know, Clippers I forgot the channel. What channel are they on? Channel 5, Channel 11?
Channel Prime Ticket West or one of those.
Yeah, they had a TV deal. They were raking in revenue. They don't need anybody. It was corporate money. So I got it. I appreciate it.
Well, I guess in the early days you got a season pass and a set of knives.
I still have them. They're very sharp. Yes.
Hey, I want to ask you a question because looking at you, you have a framed photo on the credenza.
Yeah, I wanted this too.
Okay. Now, I don't know. It looks like either Peter Falk or Mike Connors.
Oh, does look like Peter Falk. I can show you if you want to see it.
Sure, please.
Here's a hint. Obama, and it is not Obama.
Wow.
Okay, hold on. Pull my pants up. Good thing I wore pants.
Obama,
and this
but not
was the
Obama.
reason why I was late. This.
Oh wow, Muhammad Ali. Boy, was I off.
Wow.
But it had the head tilt like Columbo. It did look like that.
So if you're listening on the podcast, it is it's the Obama style sort of what would you call that? The poster
art
style.
It's by the artist Farley Shepard, who did the famous Obama poster. I have a wall up those stairs, which is a gallery wall of my my art, of his art there. And so this morning, I'm having some closets installed. I'm having a bunch of things done to the house, and I just got home late last night. So I got an email from the accountant at 7:00 in the morning. Say, hey, we're open for pickups at 7:30, but I didn't get this message until 9. So I got dressed, zipped, and run and picked up all this art. And so that was the last piece. But when we started, I was going to point out, I was like, I'm not flexing that there's a piece of art right there. Like, they won't notice. Yeah, I just put it there because I didn't feel like walking upstairs.
So I have known you a very, very long time. I met you.
Yeah, you probably know things about me that other people don't know.
Well, I do know one thing that I'm sure a lot of people don't know, and I'm going to bring it up.
That involve a woman of some kind?
No.
Good.
So, well, yeah, I guess a woman, but not a live woman. Oh. And I know that sounds weird. So anyway,
you were digging in the garbage can. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So the first time, so we met in the 80s at the Improv, both comics.
And you pseudo lived around the corner from me.
Yes, because when I was with Kenny lived around the corner from me. So the first time I went to your apartment, you had a party and you had this really, really cool apartment.
Is that the one that was in the Village?
No, right around the corner from Kenny. On 90,
that apartment, the duplex with the balcony?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I don't even remember that.
You had a party. And I didn't really know much about your life. I just knew that you were a comedian. I knew that you liked to ride a bicycle. I knew that you were on the softball team, the improv softball team, but I really didn't know anything personal about you. So when you walked into your apartment, it was a very narrow hallway and you had art, like unbelievable art everywhere. So I know that you've been an art collector forever. But the one piece that you had, it was a bust of a woman's bust.
I still have that piece.
Okay. And the breasts like really stuck out far. And and the hallway was very narrow. And that's like the first thing that you encountered when you walked in. And I said to you, Rondell, this is what you open with? I don't know if you remember me saying that.
I love that.
But you have such an amazing collection of art. Where did that come from? And how long have you been collecting art?
I don't do drugs. Occasionally I might smoke a joint, but I'm not a big drinker, don't go to strip clubs, don't go to bars. Between the Clippers and going to concerts and clothes, if you know me, I'm into clothes. My disposable income are things that make me happy and things that I like. And I go through cyclically things in my life. And that was the beginning stage. I worked this club in Denver, and I met this woman who worked at this art gallery, and she turned me on to that artist, which then led me down the rabbit hole of other art that I liked. But at home, my mom had these lithographs, bland stuff that your parents would put up. I can't even remember what they were, but I don't even think they were signed and numbered. They were just art lithograph that was just there. I don't think I got an art cue from any person. Like there was not a Rondell in my life where I went to someone's house and I go, oh, wow, they collect art. This is really great. I just I liked it. I put it up. That was it.
What's the piece that you love the most?
Two pieces that I love the most that I no longer have because Rondell was bad in the early 90s and didn't pay his taxes. I had two Warhols that were the Mick Jagger Warhols.
Whoa.
And Warhol did 10 pieces. They're the only collection that Warhol did that's signed by Warhol and the subject. So there are 10 Mick Jagger pieces, and I had two of them. And in early like 1990, when I came out to LA, or maybe 91, I had to sell them. Those I wish I still had, and I still like. I can't pick up a Warhol book and look at it, and because it just reminds me of what I had. But I like the Obey collection that I have. Looking at new artists, and then also when I was in high school, I used to. I guess you can kind of make this connection, Sue, but I don't know. I used to paint. I painted horribly. I dated this woman who went to the Chicago Art Institute, who studied art, and I entered an art show, the Chicago Art Show, and I got to see other people, and then I just stopped. And slowly, Raven went back to school to get her degree in art. And then the little girl who plays my Mimi, who plays my granddaughter on the show, she's starting to draw now, and it's just by osmosis. I have over there like 4 boxes of art pens that I'm just. Oh, and it's also I went to the Basquiat show. If you haven't been, that's really. I know I'm going on so many different.
That's okay.
The Basquiat show is incredible, and it's incredible because I have some Keith Haring collection. I had been at parties twice where Warhol was there, and I had no knowledge of Basquiat until '89, and I think he'd already passed away. And I thought about that when I went to the gallery showing for Basquiat. I go, I would bet I was at parties that Basquiat was at.
Wow.
Because I've been at parties where, like I said, where Warhol was at. I bet you Basquiat was at those parties. But I had no clue who he was until like 89 or so.
How did you end up at a party where Warhol was?
Keep in mind, for 5 years, 6 years.
And you didn't do drugs?
No, I did not. I lived on the Lower East Side. I lived on Houston Avenue B. Through Phil Nee. Phil would know all these eclectic little parties that would go into abandoned warehouses and stuff. And it's just about where I live. Sometimes I'd go by the Keith Haring gallery, and I'd see a note or a flyer about someplace, and I would just go to. It was weird because I really didn't have any comedy. My closest comedy buddy where I hung out socially was Phil Nee. We liked art, we liked sci-fi, we liked clothes, stuff like that. But there was no one else that I could hang with that would go, hey, have you checked out this? Have you checked out that? So.
Well, let's do a little comedy.
Okay.
So you did the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Yes. That was the only reason. So I used to write music. My goal to write music was to write a song as good as Always and Forever. I wanted to write a song as good at that. That never happened. Never came close to it. But my comedy goal was to do the Tonight Show. That was it. My goal, mecca, and because I was in New York, I just knew I wasn't a David Letterman comic, even though Ray Romano made it to Letterman, and we were kind of similar in our style. And I was like, well, Ray made it for Letterman. Why? And I just went, you know what? I'm a Tonight Show guy. I'm going to really try for the Tonight Show. And so that was my little story of what happened with that. A friend of mine, Debbie Duperry, knew, I can't think of who the booker was for.
Jim McCauley.
Macaulay. So she knew Macaulay. And when I said I was going out, she goes, when you get out there, call Macaulay. And I went, okay. And so I was there for about a week. And I didn't call him at all. And by that time, I'd been there for 3 days. And I went by the store. I set up an audition at the store. I did my set. And I remember when I was waiting outside, Chris Rock and a bunch of other people walked by and they go, "What are you doing out here?" I go, like, I'm standing where people who pay to go to see the show stood. And they're like, "Rondell, why are you there?" And I go, "Because I'm auditioning." And they go, "For the store? Why are you auditioning for the store?" "Because that's the only way I'm going to get in." And they were like, "Okay." So I do my set. I had a great set. And I called the next day to say, was there any feedback? And the guy put me on hold. He came back and he said, "Mitzi said she didn't see anybody that night that she sparked to." So that was it. And I was cool with that because if I had a crystal ball and knew that's what the comment was going to be, I couldn't have done a better set. I could have done other material, but it would have been the same flavor. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then a week and a half later, I got the Tonight Show. So I've never looked back.
So what's it like as you're behind those curtains and you're waiting to go onto the stage and like this culmination of a dream? Was it everything you hoped for?
It was easier than what I hoped for, but I had a game plan, and I realized I don't know anybody else who did my game plan. I tell this to people now. I go, if you're going to do TV for the first time, I suggest you do what I did. But so when I get nervous on stage, I talk really fast, and I'm aware of it. It's the nervous tell that I have. So keep in mind, I've done even at the Improv. I've done Rosie's show. I did sit down. I did every single thing that was on Comedy Central. I think at that time I already had 2 Showtime specials. So, but none of those was my bucket list, top of the list doing the Tonight Show. So what I started doing was I did that set for the Tonight Show. I think I did it 23, 24 times. I would only perform it when the crowd sucked. I wanted to put myself in the worst situation possible because and the only caveat was they would say Rondell Sheridan in 3 weeks is going to be doing the Tonight Show. He introduced me, so I came back to New York, and mainly it was the Comedy Cellar. And Sue, when the audience would change at the Comedy Cellar, like around, I don't know, during the week, 10 o'clock, 10:15 or so, the audience would suck for like half an hour. And then all of a sudden, bam, it would pick back up. I would go on then. And I got to the point where I was the guy who turned the night around. Even though it was only 6-minute set, it was just like, bam. And I got more and more comfortable with that, And then when I got there for the Tonight Show, I had made it a goal of mine to help out any comic who was doing the Tonight Show. So I came out early just as a look-see, just to see what was going on. And Mario Joyner, I did that too. And there was another comic that I said, "Hey, I'm just going to be there to hold your hand. Let me iron your shirt." Mario, I ironed his shirt for him before the thing. I go, "We're going to talk about anything but comedy. Just keep it light. Like, you don't want to be the person in the dressing room. Hey, are you nervous? Are you nervous?" No. So I get those people out of there. I don't want to see anybody who's going to say that. So, but I was there. My agents and stuff came, and I said, "Hey, let me just have this space." And I remember I was just sitting in my dressing room, and Macaulay walked in, and he goes, "Hey, you all set?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "So somebody walked you out to the stage?" And I go, "No." And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "Nobody walked you out?" And I go, "No." He goes, "Oh, Jesus." He goes, come on, let's go. And he goes, "Oh, okay, they've already loaded in the audience." And he goes, "Okay." He said, "I don't want the audience to see you as I'm just dressed in jeans and t-shirt there." And he goes, "I don't want them to see you before." He goes, "So this is what we're going to do." He goes, "We're going to walk out backwards. And I'm going to point up at the lights like we're lighting text. And we're going to point there and there. And you just stand next to me and he goes, don't let the audience see you at all." So we do that. And I remember he goes, "Okay, so we're now, our backs into the audience." He goes, "Okay, that's Johnny's desk over there. And he goes, "You see that star right there?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "That's Johnny's mark. Whatever you do not stand on that mark." And then he walks me several feet over and he goes, okay, this is where you stand. And I go, okay, cool. And my back's to the audience. I look down one time. I go, great. So we go back and I go change. And then he comes by, knocks on the door, and he says, hey, he goes, I hate to do this to you. He said, but we're not sure when you're going to go on. He said, we're either going to do a sketch and you're going to go on, or you're going to go on and we're going to do the sketch afterwards. And he goes, we're playing this by ear right now. So I need you to come out now. And you're either going to be waiting backstage when they do the sketch, or you're going to be backstage and boom, and go on. So I go, okay, cool. So we're there. We're just chopping it up. And they wind up doing the sketch. So I'm now backstage just waiting. And he goes, are you nervous? And I go, no, I'm not. And he goes, interesting. He goes, I only know one other comic who wasn't nervous before his first Tonight Show. And I said, who is it? And he said who it was. I'm not going to say who it was because he's passed and not putting any shade, because the next thing he said was, so as he's saying this, I'm hearing my introduction. So he goes, interesting. I could hear Johnny goes, comedian making his debut. And he goes, I only know one other comedian, but who wasn't nervous. Johnny Carson goes, Rondell Sheridan. And Macaulay says, but he's not funny. And the other comic. And then I walk on stage. So if you see me walk on stage, I'm laughing at what Macaulay just told me. And it is now the first time that I've seen the stage from where the angle that I should see the stage. And I have no clue where my mark is on the floor. So I'm kind of doing this little serpentine dance. And my monologue in my head is, don't get on Johnny's mark. Don't get on Johnny's mark. But I was so comfortable that I did an ad lib off of a line. My first line is, I'm in love. And people applauded. And I said, nope, I don't need your sympathy. And that was not in the act. That was Club Rondell just went. And in that second, my brain went, whoa, slow down. You're doing this and not, not, hey, where are you from? But it was just great. It gave me that first little line, hey, I don't need your sympathy. And then I just kept going into the bit. So it was great. And then the really great thing was he had told me to turn to look at Johnny, but I was in that moment of, getting applause and everything. And what Johnny had been doing, he's smart enough. He's done this a lot. People don't look. So he gives the okay. He goes, Johnny gave 4 fake okays. I didn't turn, but Johnny's smart enough. Camera's going to be him. He gives one of those. So I finally turned to look and got that, but I didn't know until afterwards. It was like that. And I used to do this bit about ma. And Macaulay came back to the dressing room. He said Johnny was in the back. He was in his dressing room going, ma. So that was cool.
So how much did that change your life? As far as
it changed either lives.
But like as far as bookings and money on the road?
That was 94. I think when people talk about, I'm curious. I think when people talk about it changing their lives, like with Brad Garrett and those guys, I think it was 5-6 years earlier. I think it was pre-HBO Showtime, and it set people off that because Vegas and touring was the big deal.
So you did a comedy tour called "If You're Over 40 and You Know It, Clap Your Hands."
Yes, that's what I'm doing now. Okay,
good. So for you, what is the hardest part of getting older?
You're talking to somebody who has 2 hip replacements. Yeah, I got my first one in 2005 on my left, and now 2 years ago I finally got the right one done. Being pain free. What else? Getting up in the middle of the night to pee multiple times. Your sleep is off.
I pretty much pee in Morse code at this point.
I'm blessed. I don't have that. Just when it's time to go, it's time to go.
You know what I hate? I hate we're on Zoom right now. I hate this thing. Like this thing in my neck, the tendon or whatever that is.
See, you need to be fat all your life. So you don't get this. You get these little, now that you slim out, you get these tree lines and telling you how old the tree neck rings tell you how old you are.
It's true.
See,
well, a lot of
get that turkey gobbler.
Right. Well, a lot of women wear scarves, so you have to start weering an ascot.
And then when you wear the scarves, people know. They go, "You're wearing the scarf."
I'll be Peter Bogdanovich. I'll roll
it's like
with
when
that.
You would have a cold sore. You'd wear that bandage on the cold sore. We know you got a cold sore. Okay, you're not hiding. Yeah, just stop.
So what now? What time when you say your sleep changes? What time do you wake up in the morning?
Well, I wake up in the middle of the night. I used to write, and I'm going to go back writing. I sold my house in the hills in 2002. 2 years ago, 2021. Is that right? And then I bought a new house. That year, I lived in it like a homeless person for a year. I'm not making this up. There was no furniture in the house. I lived in one room because I knew I was going to gut remodel the house to the studs. So last July, gutted this entire house. But before then, I used to write screenplays. And I found the best time was when my sleep was, I will wake up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'll be up for a couple of hours. And so I would start writing. I'd write then because it's quiet. I learned from hearing writers, a lot of writers find writing on a plane is so great. And the reason why, you're in your own cocoon, you're in your own bubble. There's not a phone, there aren't birds chirping, there's nothing. And you can zero in on what you're writing. So I do that on planes. I didn't realize how big a deal it was. And then I write when I wake up in the morning, when I wake up until about 7:30 or so, and then I go back to sleep and try to wake up for Sports Center at noon. And
there's this new thing called deep work. Have you heard about deep work?
No.
This is where you turn absolutely everything off, audio, video, phone, everything, and you just focus on one thing for however long it takes. They're calling it deep work. All the kids are doing this now, Rondell.
I don't want to sound like the get off my lawn old man, but I'm not buying anything that the kids say right now. I'm not. It sounds really great, but my only thing is I always need music in my life. So unless I'm editing some video, normally I'll have music on. And I find what I find really great is every time I work on a new script, I make a new music playlist of music that I'd want in that movie that I'm working. And that, I've been telling that to a couple of writers, and they're like, wow, that's really genius. I go, because I like to write sci-fi. So I just have tons of music that I'll go, oh, this would be great to have in this scene. And then that just keeps me zoned in. So I guess in a way it's kind of this thing. It's about just added music to it.
Yeah, deep work.
I can't have any distractions at all. No distractions at all. I can't hear music. I can't hear people talking.
You almost made me write a joke right now. It's like you carry that to your sex life. I can't have any distractions. I can't have music, the lights on. I can't have another person there. It just has to.
Sometimes with sex, I can have another person there.
There's too many people in this room. Someone has to leave.
So I want to say that you have the actor's gift that keeps on giving with That's So Raven. So you started, tell me if this is correct, you started in 2003, was that? Is that correct?
I thought it was 2000. It was a year after 9/11. So 9/11 was 2001?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so it started in 2002.
Okay, so you started in 2002.
So it aired in 2003. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It aired wait a minute. It aired. Yeah. So the timing for that, for all of us, is weird. So we started doing the show. Well, go finish your question because there's more to this. It's a complicated
Well,
thing.
I was just going to say that 20 years later, you're still the dad and now the grandfather.
I am the longest running male character on the history of the Disney Channel.
Wow.
So
unbelievable. And so how old was Raven when you first started?
She's 14 years old.
She was 14.
So what happened was we did our first season during our season, we were supposed to air. Like, I think we'd started in, I don't know, started in July. I'm just guessing. And we were supposed to air in October or November. And they pushed it back. So we're still in production and the show is supposed to air. And it gets pushed back. Push back October, push back November, push back January, push back March, push back April. And it was getting frustrating because I'm going to say this one thing. I knew by the third or fourth episode, there's an episode of the first season in which Raven gets in trouble at school and her parents have to show up to the parents teacher conference with the teacher. So she doesn't tell us that she acted up. So she disguises as her mom and goes to school. So Raven's wearing this fat suit to go to school to pretend to be her mom. And so I'm watching this. It had to be our third episode. I'm watching a scene of a 14-year-old kid. And in the middle of the scene, she kicks her leg up. The shoe goes through 4 cameras. It doesn't go out of frame. All 4 cameras, you see a shoe spin through the set, off the set. You can't miss. There's not a take they can take that you don't see the shoe fly. Now, most actors would, because you need the shoe to keep going. Yep. Most actors would stop, would just kind of, she kept her like, it was a really animated thing what she was doing. She kept talking, walked off the set, got her shoe, walked back. She's still doing her lines, puts the shoe back on, keeps going. I saw that and I went, oh, this is not a 14-year-old kid. This is Mickey Rooney. This is an adult pretending to be a 14-year-old child.
Yeah, she's a pro, right?
And at that point, I kept trying. I had no pull. It wasn't going to happen, but I was lobbying with Disney. I go, you own Disney Family. What was that? Whatever that channel that they had.
Freeform?
Huh?
Was it Freeform?
No. It was anyway. And they also had ABC. So I go, why don't you put this on Friday nights? There's so many formats that you can put this on because this is a show that adults will watch this show because it's not written like a regular kid show. And so what happened was the reason they kept pushing us back was that they kept testing the show. So they tested the first time. They're like, no, these numbers can't be right. No, this can't be right. They tested again. And then also, we were in foreign markets where there were no Black people. We went to Disney Asia. They didn't know how Asia would respond to, because we set, I forgot how many records. We were the first Disney show with the Black lead, first Disney show with the Black family, first live action show, first four camera show, first show with a live audience for Disney. And there was one other thing that we were the first. So Disney was nervous on a bunch of different things. So we were, I don't know, by the third show, we were a hit. It just spoke to, and also what I didn't know was I had auditioned for them. I was doing a talk show at the time. I was doing Men Are from Mars and Women Are from Venus. And manager had called and said, hey, you got an audition for Disney. And I go, oh, that's weird. Because also I had done Cousin Skeeter, a Nickelodeon show for 3 years. And normally they do not. If you're on Nickelodeon, you're on Nickelodeon. If you're on Disney, you're on Disney. You do not. And I didn't find out later that there was a big thing of, why do we want to see this guy? So anyway, I had an audition for this show. And Raven Symone was in it. She played my daughter. I was a chef. And I came from work and it was just a meeting. And I love meetings. I don't know if as an actor, you got an audition. When you come in for a meeting, it's a whole different vibe. I got my head up, smoking a cigar. How you doing? Yeah. So I was there for about 45 minutes. I remember watching all the other actors and I kept checking the call sheet. I'm like, oh, nobody's auditioning for my role. Okay, so they're serious. So about 5 minutes before I'm supposed to meet with them, one of the PAs come to me and go, Rondell, I'm really sorry, but they want you to read. And I go, what? I've been here 45 minutes, man. If you wanted me to read, you should have told me this 45 minutes ago. And so I took the sides, I did it, and it was a very complicated scene. I remember I'm making a cake, I'm talking to someone on a speakerphone, and I'm talking to my daughter. So that's not a casual scene for comedy. You got to be very specific, and I'm just trying to wing it. So I get in the car and I call Rick and I tell Rick the situation. And the first thing out of his mouth was, "You didn't audition, did you?" And I go, "Yeah, I didn't know you could not do that." And what I could have said was, so any actors out there, "Hey, this is really funny piece. Can I please take this home overnight and I'll come back tomorrow and I'll do this for you? Can I please do this?" I could have done that.
Yeah.
But Rick said, "Don't worry about it. Let me find out what they thought." And he said, "Well, they thought you were funny, but they're going in a different direction." And I go, "Okay, cool." So about 4 months later, I get a phone call and Rick goes, "Hey, you got an audition for Disney." And I go, well, somebody thought it was worthwhile to have to see me again. So I go and I get the sides and it's a completely different thing. And I'm telling a story. So Sue, you know, I'm a storyteller. But this story was great. I put embellishments in this story. I put songs in this story, everything in it, but it was organic and it just was really great. I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, I'm either going to get this or they're going to call my agent and go, "Was he on crack? What was he doing?" I literally was that confident on that. And so, but the sides that I was reading smelled funny. And I remember I went to the person at the audition room and there was tons of people. Michael Dorn was there. There were a ton of people in that room. And I remember going, am I a chef in this? And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Is Raven Symone my daughter?" And she said, "Yeah." And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on because this is not the project that I read 4 months ago. And I know they did a pilot for that project, and I'm confused. But the best confidence that I ever had, second best confidence I ever had at an audition, I walked around, and no shade to Michael Dorn and the other people that were there, but this is comedy. And I'm looking around, all these guys are going, "You're better actors than me, you're better looking than me, but none of y'all are funny. Not one of you guys are funny." And I just nailed it. If you've ever auditioned for something, and you can tell when you get laughs where they're not expecting to get laughs.
Right.
That's what I was doing. And I go, I got this. They weren't expecting to get a laugh from there. And so 2 months went by and I call Rick and I go, "What's going on?" "They love you, but you got to go to network." And I hate going to network. And so finally I went to network and that's a whole different story. And it was great. And so
now 20 years later. 20 years later.
Yeah. And you know, the best thing in my life, whenever 3 times in my life, someone has begun the phone conversation with, "Are you sitting down?" And normally that is not a good conversation. "Are you sitting down?" It's not a good conversation. All 3 times, knock on wood, it has been really great. And so we finished with That's So Raven. About 4 months later, I was at home. Rick called me. He goes, "You sitting down?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Disney wants to do a spinoff with you and Kyle for Corey in the House." And I go, "Okay." Some other thing that happened in my life where I got "Are you sitting down?" And then and some other things have happened. But Raven's thing was completely different. I was in the process of selling my house, and I was seeing a house, and I look, and the phone says Raven. And I go, "Hey, what's up?" And she goes, "What you doing?" And I go, "What?" I go, "I'm looking at houses." She goes, "You still acting?" And I go, "Yeah, what'd you hear? Are you still acting?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Where you living?" I go, "I'm looking at a house. I'm looking at the valley." So you're not moving? And I go, "Yeah." "So you staying and you're acting?" And I go, "Yeah." Click.
Huh.
I'm looking at my phone. That was Raven. What is going on? So my real estate agent, she's hearing the other side of the conversation. She goes, "What was that?" I go, "It was Raven." She goes, "What was the conversation?" I go, "I don't know." So 2 months ago, I was working on a project with her, and I go, "Hey, by the way, you called me. Apparently, there was on some medications or something. What was going on? You want to be on the show? So did you want me to guest on the show?" And she goes, "No, I was offering you a role, series regular." I go, "On what show?" She goes, "My show, Raven's Home." I go, "How is that possible? Victor Baxter lives in San Francisco. you're in Chicago. What am I missing here? And she goes, you have a heart attack. I have to go back to San Francisco to take care of you. I bring the kids. My kids go to the high school I used to go to. I move back into the house. I go, oh, this is genius. And that was it.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. And now 200 half-hour episodes of television, 200 plus, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. And then Ray is the first person to go over 100 episodes on 2 different Disney channels. And just how many women do that? How many women have had lead in 200 episode shows? Yeah. She's a force. She's a beast. She is just, her role models are Lucille Ball and Carol Burnett, and she understands old school. She understands where comedy. She just soaks up comedy.
Yeah, that's right.
It's amazing. You have been her father for, pretty much 20 years, even though there were some breaks in between. I mean, do you kind of feel like you're her dad?
Did you ever see the Lucille Ball movie? The one that the Australian actress played Lucille Ball. It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was
Nicole Kidman.
In the Ricardos.
Yes. Yeah. I realized watching that movie, and I told Raven that because she didn't want to watch it because she goes, how can Nicole Kidman play Lucille Ball? I go, it's different. It's not, it's all behind the scenes. It's not what you think that it's in front of the camera. And I realized I played the Fred Mertz character, and I always have. I've been that confidant that just has old school knowledge that goes, occasionally I'll say, you might not want to do that. And that's meaning not something for the show, but just in life, or, give some thought to why you're doing X, Y, and Z. But, but it's funny. When she was 14, she told me, she might have been 15 when she told me this. She said, I'm just going to give you a heads up. And we were really close when she was on the show. She was probably the closest person, not probably, she was the closest person that I was to on that show, to the entire cast. And she had said at some point, she goes, I'm just going to give you a heads up that when this show is over, we'll probably never speak again. She goes, I'm really like that. She goes, I hold friends during that time, and then I don't talk to them. And I go, no, that's not happening. I got your number. I know when your birthday is. I know stuff about you. It's not going to happen. And I always check in, always email. So,
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, listen, this has been you are an amazing storyteller. I
just think I talk a lot.
Yeah, loved hearing all of it, man. We really appreciate. Is there anything any dates you want to talk? When's the show?
Well, I don't know. I saw that was that Samantha?
Yeah, Samantha.
Yeah, so Samantha sent me the thing twice, and I know she was thinking that I didn't respond. I saw it because I don't know how soon this is going to air. So I could give you a club date, but if it doesn't air, it's too late, then I would go. So I'd rather, don't worry about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, on tour.
Yes. Yeah. Starting in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Starting in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, Rondell, this has been great. Thank you so much for doing this, man. We really appreciate it.
This was fun.
There you have it. There is Rondell Sheridan. And it reminds, I also got many brochures for many acting schools and couldn't really decide on one. So I went into radio instead.
Is that what happens?
Yes, that's what happens.
It's like those who can't do teach, those who can't do teach become guidance counselors.
Yeah, basically that's it. I'm in show business, but barely in show business.
Show business adjacent.
Exactly. So do you own any art? He was talking about his art pieces. Do you own any art?
Yeah, I actually have one piece that I got at a gallery in Laguna. I don't even know the artist's name, but it was the first piece of art we bought for this particular house. And it's a beautiful oil of a tricycle. But cool. I don't really, I don't have, I don't have like a ton of money to buy art.
He's talking Basquiat's and Warhol's. And I mean, he's just in a different, I do have one piece. I've got two pieces actually. I've got a Laddie John Dill. I don't know if you know who that is, but really great mixed media artist. And then I've got a painting called The Flowers, and it is painted by the great West Coast artist known as Steve Mason. I've got a painting that I did myself, and it hangs in a prominent place in our house. Have you ever seen it?
I think I have.
Oh, it's pretty brilliant. I wonder if Rondell wants to buy it.
Hey, I have an original Steve Mason.
Hey, I got a painting for you. All right, there you have it. Hey, thanks a lot for watching on YouTube. Don't forget, you should subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can always watch the shows here now. Also, Spotify, Apple, you can subscribe to the podcast through any of the podcast platforms that are out there. Sue Kalinsky, great seeing you. And we will see everybody next time on the Culture Pop Podcast.